Hello, and a warm global welcome to our customers, partners, and team members joining us today for our second Partner Spotlight call on our new broadcast channel, amplify.jobscience.com. The Amplify Job Science program is a chance for everyone to get even more from their job science solution. Some of the best technology vendors available today are going to be on highlighting how our lives can be made easier. It's also a chance for our customers to become more productive. But I like what Ted Elliott says when he puts it simply that it's really designed to help drive success. My name is Robbie Hurd. I'm the Partners and Programs Manager here at Jobscience, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Bernard Peters. Bernard, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Thank you, Robbie. It's really a pleasure to be here with you today, so thank you for the invitation. My name is Bernard Peters, and I joined Ebsta in the very, very early days back in our HQ in London, and I now reside in San Diego, California, where I run our US operations.
That's great. That's great. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have a partner as blue chip as Ebsta on with us today. Can you give us a sense of the origination of Ebsta, why Ebsta was created in the first place?
We actually started in the recruitment space to help companies drive user adoption of their CRM systems. And at the time, we did it by re-implementing entire systems, relaunching workflow, very, very complex work that took a very long time, and quickly realized that the biggest driver of the issue of CRM adoption was that recruiters don't just work in one way, right? They work in lots of different ways in different environments, and the CRM ends up being the core hub of information for the organization, where everything should be stored and all the workflow drives from. But recruiters spend their lives outside of that database, and rather than trying to re-implement entire systems and kind of walk in every Monday morning beating people over the back of the head to tell them to work in this one structured way, we realized that we could actually create an application that could help influence user behavior and capture all the activity that they performed outside of the CRM and drive them back to the database and back to that core knowledge that was held within the organization, and then start sharing and collaborating with that information. And that's when we launched our tool Ebsta. So we've since gone to sell outside of the recruitment space as well, but our bread and butter and our core DNA comes from the recruitment and staffing environment. And working with all these recruiters, we found that a couple of the largest environments where staffing companies spend their time are in LinkedIn, in email, and on job boards, right? Sites such as Monster, Dice, etc. And what we did was we created a very simple application that it was a browser extension that could bring the CRM to the user no matter where they worked. So they were able to access job science whether they're in job science, whether they're on a job board searching through a candidate, whether they're trying to find a passive candidate on LinkedIn, whether they're exchanging email communication with candidates.
As well as walking us through how Ebsta helps our customers remain in the environment like LinkedIn or in their Gmail environment today. A couple of things that tend to come out a lot is, how do I work more efficiently and how do I close more? Whether that be closing candidates on internal recs or closing more business with a placement. Can you walk us through that, Bernard?
Yeah, absolutely, Robbie. And I think you hit on a very key point, right? Recruiters work in very structured ways, which in a way has become, but they all work in different ways, right? Ways that that are more efficient or more productive for them as an individual. Now, what lies behind all of that is no matter whether you spend a portion of your day in email or a portion of your day on LinkedIn or on a job board, the core infrastructure behind everything, be it the knowledge that you need to retain, the communication, the activities, or the workflow is all driven from job science, right? And
Right.
job science has gone through to great lengths to kind of bring the science out behind the art of recruitment. And they've done an amazing job in actually translating that into a CRM platform and into a software platform that can actually drive the behaviors that drive success. And all EBSTA is doing is it's really not rocket science, right? All we're doing is we're utilizing that workflow and all that work that job science has taken, and we're actually just bringing it to the user no matter where they work. So essentially, we're trying to make job science an omnipresent system, and we're trying to make it omnipresent for the recruiter no matter how or where they work to increase the chances of success. And I think the proof is in the numbers, right? We launched our tool in September of last year, and in that time now we've had over 30,000 users install the product, representing roughly about 10,000 companies. We basically bring job science. We bring the CRM. We bring the CRM to the user. We've done it close to 50 million times in less than 10 months. And I think that just shows how incredibly important it is to have the CRM omnipresent in your work environment, no matter where you are. So, Robbie, if you're okay with it, I'll walk you through how we do all that now.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Fantastic. So, as you saw on the previous slide, right, Ebsta is incredibly simple to install, and we find that a key to our success is in its simplicity of use, and just how simple and intuitive the product is. We're not trying to get in the way of job science. We're actually just trying to unlock it and bring it to the user without any barriers. So any user can go to our website and install Ebsta for free here, at which point a little red icon will appear in the top right-hand corner of your browser. This is the Ebsta extension. At that point, you'll connect it to your job science instance, at which point you'll receive this screen to say that you're connected. It takes less than 5 seconds to set up. Once that's happened, if you click on the Ebsta icon, you'll notice that we bring this little mini window into job science, almost like a pocket-sized version of job science into the browser, right? And the purpose of this was to make job science omnipresent for the user no matter where they work. And as you can see, we immediately bring your most recent activity in job science, all of your tasks, all of your due events, as well as your chatter feed to you right into your browser. So whether you're in Gmail, whether you're in LinkedIn, whether you're prospecting on a company's site, or you're looking at a candidate's blog, you can quickly access that content and deliver and bring it back into job science with just a couple clicks.
That's great.
Now from here, I'll go into probably the most common, one of the more common uses of Ebsta, and probably one of the more common areas of a recruiter's day. Right, recruiters spend their lives searching for passive candidates on LinkedIn. That's where you make the real money. And the challenge that we find is, as one of the very first things you need to do when you're browsing LinkedIn is when you come across a candidate, you have to first of all see whether your organization's already engaged for that candidate. Have you spoken to them before? Has a colleague of yours spoken to them before? Perhaps you've placed them before and you can have a nice warm introduction. You need to have all that information at your fingertips. And like I mentioned previously, those key golden nuggets of information are sitting within job science. So normally that process would take a while, finding a candidate on LinkedIn, then cross-referencing job science, stopping what you're doing, going over to job science to search for that information. But with Ebsta, we try to create a seamless bridge for that. So if I pull up a candidate's profile here, you'll notice that a bar has dropped from the top of the screen. And and what's happened here is Ebsta's recognized that I'm looking at James Knowles as technical architect and quickly cross-referenced his name with all of my contact and candidate records in job science. and it's immediately delivered me a nice holistic view into who James is. So it's actually found this candidate record for James, and it's instantly providing me with a quick snapshot of who James is. We have his latest contact details here, which are stored within Jobscience. I can see that he's a candidate, and then I can also view my latest and my latest activity, as well as any open activities that are held within James's record within Jobscience.
That's great. That's great.
Now, we can view a lot more about James here at this point. So if I want to dig in a little bit deeper, I can go ahead and click on the Ebsta icon and view this little window into Jobscience. And it's at this stage where I can view a lot more information about him. Right? Which business unit does he belong to? Does he have any certifications? Have we skill coded him up yet? But what's really interesting here is I can see that we've already submitted James for 2 jobs.
Wow. And it looks like you've brought Jobscience's control, communication, and action columns in here. So I know this might be a wish list thing, but can you actually advance James on the top communication rec there and move him on to the next stage from this window, or is that just showing?
That's a great question, Robbie. And again, like I mentioned before, what we're trying to do here is bring Jobscience and the workflow to the user without really getting in the way. You guys have already created the best way to advance somebody like that through a submittal process. So what we do here is, rather than trying to get the user to do it within Ebsta, we just take you directly to that job within Jobscience with one click, so that you can go ahead and continue your workflow from here.
Great. Great. So you serve up the information I need to make a critical decision at that time whilst I'm in the environment I'm in. And I'm assuming, because you're accessing LinkedIn through your Chrome browser, that you'd be getting similar information if you happen to be combing through Career Builder or Monster through your Chrome browser as well. Is that right?
Precisely, and that's and that was part of that original intention, to make Jobscience omnipresent for the user, right? And recruiters spend a large part of their day not just in LinkedIn and Gmail, but also on sites like on job boards. So if I were to view a candidate record on Monster or Dice or Indeed, you'd see the exact same functionality. And that's what's key here, is because it's a Chrome extension, like you said, we can be omnipresent in your browser experience.
Cool. Would you mind just scrolling down a little bit here, please, Bernard?
Sure.
Perfect. Perfect. So there's James, and I can see the ability to advance him onto the next stage right there with everything else that comes in with the standard Jobscience requisition. Yeah.
Almost think of Jobscience as the chef here, right? The master chef in the kitchen, and we're just serving up this platter to the diner as they sit at the table.
Right. Great.
So coming back to my experience here on LinkedIn, and again, you can imagine this experience occurring on a job board as well. We can quickly not only cross-reference Jobscience for James Knowles' record, but we can also view his record in Jobscience, not just the jobs that he's been submitted through, but also any open activities that we have against this record, or activity history. And this is where I can find those key gold nuggets of information, right? What kind of communication has James had with us in the past? I can see that I've had a call a few weeks ago with him. And again, we can always go into Jobscience to view that activity history in more detail. I can also view the chatter feed, which is becoming a more and more integral part to a recruiter's world.
Yeah, and what we're finding as well is that one of the key things to partnering with Jobscience, which is built on Force.com, is it opens up this world of chatter, and as a result, it allows both business development and the recruitment and delivery teams to collaborate a lot more. Or if you're in a corporate recruiting environment, when I was using Jobscience at Salesforce.com, that's when I first learned about Jobscience. You would literally have inbound sourcing collaborating with outbound sourcing, collaborating with candidate movement, who would book all the interviews, collaborating with hiring managers, and the glue really was chatter. So I can click on here, and I can immediately see, wow, Dan Remedios chatted to this guy 2 months ago. Let me just ask Dan right now if he thinks he'd be a good fit for my technical architect position, in Knightsbridge. And
Precisely.
boom, I'm done. I'm actually done, and I move on to the next candidate, and I didn't even have to leave this environment to undertake all of those steps. And that's why Ebsta and Jobscience is a strong partnership, because you get it. You understand, and it just works. What you need whilst you're in this environment is here, and when you want to take action, you can. So that's pretty seamless.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time on this actually. I think a lot of companies are trying to figure out how best to utilize chatter. But your example is perfect, and we actually worked a lot with the chatter group at Salesforce to try and make this fit for purpose for users. So in your example just now, that's exactly what I just did. I chatted at one of my colleagues here whether he'd be a good fit, and we're actually going out and retrieving the topics, the chatter topics for this, so that people can then look that up in the future. So you can see it's more than just a window into Jobscience, but it's actually interactive, right? So not only am I viewing some things, but we'll also allow the user to log a call or create a task or event. You can even edit and update James Knowles' details here. So if you wanted to quickly skill code them up or anything like that before moving on to the next candidate, you could without having to leave LinkedIn.
Wow, that's cool. A couple of things, and I don't mean to throw you off track here.
Sure.
But I did notice about 5 minutes or so ago, you had a little email red notification pop up top right.
Yes.
Is that an Ebsta feature? And I also see the little radar symbol there. It looks like, and I don't mean to move you off your talk track here, Bernard, but I just want to cover that in case other viewers of the Amplify program spotted that as well, and I'll allow you to cover it.
Yeah, Robbie, that's actually a great transition to kind of the next piece here, right? And I believe this is where Ebsta really comes alive for the recruiter. So it's difficult to believe that. Well, I guess once you hear it, it's easy to believe, but more than 80% of customer communication today occurs via email. And if we wanted to make a serious attempt at making Jobscience omnipresent for the user, we couldn't just be in LinkedIn and job boards, but we had to be at the forefront of communication for them. And that's where we started building out, just like you see on LinkedIn, we built out a integration with Gmail specific for the user. And what you can see here is you'll notice that very similar bar, but what we tried to do was create a very clean user interface here for the user. But the key goal here was to make sure that we can bring Jobscience into that communication environment for the recruiter, and then also quickly and easily allow them to save content into Jobscience for future reference and collaboration, like you mentioned before. So,
okay, so for whether you are a corporate customer of Jobscience, or you are you're running both sides of a desk, or you're just doing business development at a recruiting firm, or you're just doing the candidate sourcing, this is critical, because this could potentially save time, and that's what we're all about here. So yeah, can you just walk us through a nice path here of how you can save me time as a Jobscience user?
Sure thing. So, Robbie, the first thing you'll notice is that Ebsta's actually plugged in these little icons next to some of my emails in my inbox. So I'm sure it happens to you, but being on the West Coast, I get in first thing in the morning. I've got between 50 and 100 new emails sitting in my inbox, and it's very difficult to last in, first out is not the most efficient method for going through your email. You want to deal with the important ones first. What Ebs has done is it's quickly searched through my inbox here, and it's notifying me with a little icon as to which emails relate to people that exist in my CRM. So
Right.
I can very quickly dive into an email because that's one I know relates to the database, and I see it's an email from Daniel Remedios, and you'll notice that familiar bar drop from the top of the screen. And what this bar is telling me is, again, a quick cross-reference for who Dan is, and this is just presenting information from Jobscience to me. And I can, again, go to view more details. But what we've done differently in Gmail is actually try to step in to the workflow a bit more for the user. So uh, the key challenge here is when I'm spending my life in email, not only do I need to have constant access to Jobscience so I can see where I stand with a contact or a candidate before engaging with them, but I also need to tuck that information away back into Jobscience to retrieve later or to collaborate with my colleagues, right? You need to submit something into your workflow. So we've overlaid a couple buttons here in the email. So the first of those buttons is a little lightning add. And what this does is it quickly allows me to save this email from Dan into the CRM against that record. You'll see it just takes a click. We then also created a complex add feature where I can save this email to additional areas in Salesforce. So not only just related to the contact or candidate record, but also to a specific job or account record, or even if I wanted to save this to that James Knowles record that you saw before, I can do that.
Cool, cool. And for the edification of the viewers watching Amplify today, you'll have heard Bernard reference Jobscience and reference Salesforce. A couple of things. Jobscience is natively built on the Salesforce platform, and as an OEM partner of Salesforce, there is no need to go out and buy Salesforce licenses. You just buy your Jobscience license, and it automatically comes with the ability to add emails into your Salesforce instance like Bernard is showing you. Thanks, Bernard. I just wanted to make that clarification.
Yeah, I appreciate that clarification, Robbie. And yeah, I sometimes flow back and forth between the two. I spend part of my day selling to just Salesforce users and part of my day selling to Jobscience users. So
Cool.
it sometimes becomes synonymous in my mind.
Cool.
But what you can see here with this email is not only can I save this email to the CRM, but I can also save any attachments and also actually select what type of activity it is, right? So if Daniel here had actually been submitting his resume for me, I could quickly save that resume into Jobscience, attach it to a job record as a submittal, and progress it through that way, and then move on with my day to the next email. Now, what I'm also able to do is if I reply to an email or compose a new email, you'll see that we've added a few extra buttons in the composition window as well. Now, the first one that I'd like to touch on here, Robbie, is this email templates button. What this email templates button does is it actually goes and retrieves the email templates that I've saved in Jobscience. And
that's awesome. That's awesome. So essentially, because our product comes pre-configured with about 24 email templates, whether they be acceptance, rejection templates,
right.
introduction to a prospect, introduction to a client, they're automatically brought in right into your Gmail environment using Ebsta, is what you're saying, right?
Exactly. And what we're really trying to do here is save the recruiter time in retrieving those templates and encouraging them to use them more. And again, this is kind of trying to bring that science back to the user. So very quickly, you can go and retrieve that template, populate the email with that. You'll notice it will support the merge fields for you, and you can go ahead and send that email.
That's quite powerful. Yeah.
Now, before I send this email, what I'd want to do is I actually want to track it, and that's where this button comes in. So this is one of Ebsta's newer features, all kind of brought to us from our at the customer's requests. And what we're able to do here is track this email and alert the user whenever that email is opened. So what'll happen in this case is Ebsta will notify me when Daniel opens up this email, and I can later go ahead and actually view how frequently did he view the email, at what time of day, and on what device. It's definitely a useful tool if people are slow to respond, if you're not sure whether they received your email or not, or even if you can kind of start to get a sense of, does somebody prefer to open up emails on their mobile device or on their desktop, because that will inevitably change the way that you communicate with them.
That's really interesting, and you've kind of teased out a bit of a nuance there. And what flashed through my mind was this pretty cool use case. We've got a fairly high proportion of staffing customers, and they're all about placements, 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 and they're literally the time to the candidate is critical, and the time to get the offer extended verbally over the phone and accepted over the phone can often be the difference between securing a 12-month contract, which could generate 100,000 in revenue or not. So
It's a great point.
If I just emailed my candidate an offer and I see that she has accessed that offer via her mobile phone, I can immediately go and call her on her mobile number, not her other numbers, to increase the chance that I'm going to connect with her, and
That's right.
do my best to walk her through and close her right there on the phone, and secure that contract with her.
And that's a really great use case, Robbie. You know, and I think it's become such a competitive environment out there that time to placement is almost become everything. You know, and I think you need these little tools not just to drive efficiency, but actually allow you to work in a more intelligent way. Just like you said, right? If she's viewing that email on her phone, she's not going to have time to view a contract or sign it. And if she has questions, she'll probably wait until she gets to her desk to type a lengthy email. But it gives you the opportunity then to call right then and there. You know she's thinking about you because she's viewing that email, and you can then go ahead and help her through that process.
That's cool.
So here's an example of a few of these emails, right? So I can see here that Daniel's viewed this email a few times. I can also view other emails that I've exchanged with him. But then outside of just Daniel, I can view all of my tracked emails that I've sent and sort them by opened or unopened. And I like to utilize this piece as well to see how effective my emails are, right? Are they being clicked to view or not? And one step beyond that I like to take is, you know, statistically, if your email isn't read within the first 24 hours, it's toast. They'll never read it. It just gets lost in the shuffle. So I'll quite often sort through my unopened emails and then just send gentle reminders to my contacts to kind of bring that email back to the top of their inbox.
This is cool. So you've added this new layer of email analytics into your offering, and it runs directly in parallel with Jobscience's own email analytics. We've now embedded full mass email and email analytics into the solution. So if I'm trying to get to the bottom of my performance and analytics from within the Jobscience tool, I can on a mass basis. But if I'm in my Gmail environment and I also need access to that, then you've provided that ability to me as well. So we've taken this beyond just the functional and serving up information to make decisions. We've actually extended it into analytics to make even smarter marketing decisions in the future. I like it a lot. I like it.
Yeah, and you know, I think that just goes right off the fundamental goal, I think, of Ted Elliott to design Jobscience to help drive success, right? And you need all these little key bits, and I think that's what puts Jobscience at the forefront here, is, you know, these little improvements and little features that can really help drive that success for a recruiter.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
So one final bit on the email side, Robbie, is we also allow the user to sync their calendar events with Jobscience. So I can very quickly and easily sync my calendar. It's obviously very challenging. People, again, manage their calendars in different ways. If they create an event when they happen to be in Jobscience, then that event will be in Jobscience. If they're creating an event when they're exchanging emails with a candidate, they'll be creating it in Google Calendar. And it can oftentimes, get lost in the shuffle. You end up double booking yourself, or even, your colleagues they lose sight of what it is that you're working on or where you may be for that time of day. So we've created a calendar sync here to allow the user to sync their calendars bidirectional between Jobscience and Google Calendar. Now, we've made it as customizable as possible, so we allow you to sync multiple calendars if you have that, and also choose which direction the calendar sync goes, be it from Jobscience to Gmail or Gmail back to Jobscience.
That's great. You already mentioned, well, I actually saw that essentially the Ebsta service for Jobscience is free for 3 users and below, but can you give people a sense, if they're looking for 5 licenses or 10 licenses, what the cost is, and if I can find that out on your website, where I go?
Yeah, that's a great question, Robbie. Always the one that I like to hear as a salesman. So you're right. We make the first 3 licenses available for free to our users. Makes it very simple to install and for people just to kind of get a sense of whether the product is fit for purpose. Above and beyond that, if a 4th or 5th user installs, they'll receive a 2-week free trial of Ebsta, again, just to get the hang of it and see if it's fit for purpose. We can also run larger company-wide trials for organizations. Beyond that, it's quite simple. Pricing is just $10 per user per month, which you can see right here.
That's awesome. That's great. And before you hand control back to me, Bernard, and we finish things off here, can you share with everyone what the future looks like for Ebsta? We've both got Dreamforce coming up, so I think we've both got a couple of big announcements to make throughout that week. But yeah, just give us a sense of how the future looks for Ebsta.
So my product manager will probably whip me for making this announcement a bit early, but Robbie, I'm willing to take the heat for this exception. But yeah, so we actually just received approval through Salesforce's security review last week for what we're building. But again, everything that we're doing is off the premise of trying to I guess just trying to build on that adoption of the CRM and trying to make it omnipresent and the forefront of all of your communication. But really trying to unlock all these hidden relationships and communications with and workflow of the recruiter. So it's going to come in several different phases, but the very first thing that we're releasing right around the time of Dreamforce, Robbie, is actually a way to capture and present all email communications to the user within Jobscience. So it's actually a managed package that sits within the CRM. And what we'll do is we're capturing all email communication that comes and goes with candidates, with contacts, with accounts. We're presenting that information in a neat little tab, neat little managed package within Jobscience. So whether or not people are saving information to the activity history in the CRM, we're going to make sure that we capture it and present it to the user so that they can see what's going on. Definitely a useful feature for companies that are that have multiple offices or have high turnover for their recruiters, because what we're doing is we're accessing those inboxes, and you can now all of a sudden see whether or not a colleague of yours sitting in the Boston office has a relationship with somebody at the company that you're trying to reach out to. So we're trying to take it a step beyond a simple browser integration and actually trying to make it much more of a communication relationship management tool.
Bernard, thank you so much for your time. Every time I talk to you, I learn a bunch, and For the benefit of those heading on to Dreamforce, if you do get the chance to head down to the press club, you'll get the chance to meet with Bernard. He's one of the nicest people I've literally ever met in the technology industry, and I say that with all sincerity.
Thank you, Robin.
Actually, as a further note to underpin Ebsta's success, I took a peek on the App Exchange earlier on this week, and I noticed that you guys have already garnered over 295 4- and 5-star reviews. And given that you only launched January of last year, I think that goes a long way to explaining to everybody that you're quickly becoming a bit of a powerhouse when it comes to enabling people to be successful in the environment of their choice. And yeah, I think this Amplify broadcast is going to be a tough one to beat. Thanks a lot, Bernard.
Robbie, I really appreciate it. Thank you again for the opportunity. And yeah, I think I can definitely attribute that success to having such great partners like Jobscience and all the interaction that we have with our great customers. So thank you very much.
For those watching, you can access at our soon-to-be-announced amplify.jobscience.com URL future broadcasts and previously recorded broadcasts such as this. For our customers, you can click on your Ideas tab. You can simply go to the Ebsta website for more information, or even if you Google Ebsta Job Science, they'll take you to a Job Science Ebsta integrations page that they've set up for our benefit. And then finally, for prospects, looking at a complete solution that houses everything you need to be more efficient and allows you to work in the environment that you want to, please feel free to get in touch with us at sales@jobscience.com. Join us next Wednesday for the next Amplify Partner Spotlight. If anybody has any questions for Bernard or for Robbie Hurd here at Jobscience, please feel free to reach out on the channels that I just mentioned. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.